If you want to call it that, decent enough. Broke a sweat, was out of breath, pushing myself harder than last time. Thanks, Greg Doucette, for the motivation.
The simplest advice sometimes is the best. Train harder than last time, and Chris, that's what he's trying to do. Coach Greg and Chris Bumstead is back, but he's struggling. He's having an extremely hard time getting motivated. It's been 5 weeks he hasn't trained, well, with the exception of some light leg workouts, and he's been recovering from his bicep injury.
If you want to call it that, decent enough. Broke a sweat, was out of breath, pushing myself harder than last time. Thanks, Greg Doucette, for the motivation.
So we're going to go over his video, explain his mindset, go over his injuries, explain what he's dealing with, describing what it's like following Olympia title, the dopamine dump. He watches Andrew Huberman, he's watching the same videos, thinks exactly like Coach Greg. And so this is an excellent video. Highly suggest you go and check it out. It's called Life Update, My Current Leg Workout. Let's get right into it.
And we're back to the real world. Came back, we were in Canada for a while, got sick, got bronchitis, tore a bicep, have been chilling and living the dream right now, so.
And so it's back to reality. Oops, there goes gravity. Torn bicep, getting sick, having struggles trying to get to the gym. He's won the Olympia for the 4th consecutive year, but he's having difficulty getting motivated to go to the gym. You think all your favorite social media stars that it's just easy for them, that they're always motivated. No, they're not. It's certainly easy when you have an extreme goal, but once that goal has been achieved, now what? For many people, it could happen after reaching a weight loss goal, but for Chris, it happens after winning the classic physique Mr. Olympia title.
Yeah, a lot of you guys have been asking, update on my bicep. Taking peptides, BPC 157, TB 500, blasting it in there. Great stuff for healing injuries. Also just did some stem cell injections.
And so Chris, he's using peptides, doing everything to heal up the bicep. And with that comes rest. That's right, it would make no sense for Chris to go into the gym and blast his arms. He needs to heal himself. And so sometimes it takes even more discipline not to train than it does to train. Case in point, got in a car accident, have a concussion. Do you know how bad I want to train? To train harder than last time, but I know I have to take it easy. Sometimes you have to train easier than last time. And so I'm going through a deload, taking it easy, waiting for myself to fully recover.
Peptides, trying to heal the process up. Haven't trained in like 5 weeks or so. I've done legs. I've done legs like once a week-ish.
And so he walks every day for 20 minutes and trains legs lightly about once a week. But remember, this guy went through a serious ordeal, getting to 4% body fat to win the Olympia title. All the while getting injured, and so he needs a break, both physically and mentally. 9 months from now, he has to do it all over again. Repeat as the 5th time Mr. Olympia champion.
I'm 251 right now, too, so I've put on 12 pounds-ish since the Olympia. So I'm still not fat yet, but I just feel skinny fat.
And so he says, I feel a little skinny fat, but that's only because in comparison to when he stood on stage, he feels fat in comparison. That's why I keep telling people, please don't bulk and cut. Way better to main gain. Once you see yourself shredded and you gain weight, you're going to compare yourself to when you're shredded. That can lead to body dysmorphia and not being happy with what you look like. In comparison, if you're main gaining, you're always going to be happy. You look in the mirror, 15% body fat, healthy, feeling good, looking good, and slowly over time, you gradually build and put on muscle. Unfortunately, bodybuilders, they can't do this. They have to bulk and cut because the judging standards, you need to be shredded. But for most people like you and I, we don't need to maintain 5% body fat. And so please get to a healthy body fat percentage for you and main gain from there.
I'm full on addicted to snacking right now.
Yeah, that's another update.
Like an issue, I can't stop eating.
And so imagine if Chris had my friggin' cookbook, probably never get injured, would maintain 4% body fat, and probably get younger. He'd win 4,700 Mr. Olympia titles back to back, live forever. Please click the link in the description, get the friggin' cookbook.
Turns out, has also been shown to be neuroprotective specifically.
To try to manage your dopamine?
Yeah.
And so Chris and I, we've both been watching tons of Andrew Huberman, has a great podcast on YouTube, also on Instagram. So you want to learn a lot about the human body, this is the guy to go to. And so what Chris is experiencing is a dopamine dump. He essentially had so much dopamine winning the Olympia title that after that, it's almost like postpartum depression. After you give birth, you win a major title. Now what? You feel so good. You're on such a a high, but then after the show, it's gone. Similar to if you're using recreational drugs, you feel amazing, but how do you feel the next day? Probably suffering from a hangover, and it does in fact take time to reestablish your baseline. And so he's saying, I have no motivation. I'm going to the gym. I'm half-assing my workouts and I'm not enjoying it. And Chris, what I suggest and what I do is I try to leverage other things that release dopamine. For example, pre-workout 2.0. I know you have your own pre-workout and so obviously use yours. But if you take pre-workout before you go to the gym, the caffeine, for example, that releases dopamine and will make the experience at the gym that much more enjoyable. Try to avoid caffeine at other times during the day. Avoid taking caffeine, drinking a coffee for breakfast. Use decaf instead. Try to save your caffeine dopamine experience for the gym. On top of that, use music. Music releases dopamine. Do everything to make the experience at the gym that much more enjoyable. You mentioned you don't like cardio. Well, watch Coach Greg videos while doing cardio. Your dopamine release from watching your favorite YouTubers, perhaps Andrew Huberman, Coach Greg, I don't know. That will allow you to experience the cardio in a much more enjoyable fashion. And so if you don't think it can actually work, give it a try. I guarantee it can be a benefit.
But I did just eat an oatmeal cookie. Honestly, pretty fire. But I literally was scavenging around the warehouse looking for food because I was starving.
And before the workout, he's having a cookie. Chris, why not have a Seagull bar? Gonna release dopamine. Say, hey, I'm only gonna have Seagull bars before going to the gym. Trust me, you'll be going to the gym every day. I can't wait to have a Seagull bar.
I got no drive and I'm in lots of pain and I feel super weak. And I got a torn bicep.
Not very motivating, but obviously you can make it more motivating by doing what we just described. But there comes a time when you just have to go through the motions. It's better to show up at the gym and do something than do nothing at all. Remember, the most important muscle in the body, the heart, you need to keep working on that. And if you're looking for something to help with cardio, look no further than GO2 Max. It has the main ingredient, NMN. It's better than ever. So many studies showing just how amazing it is. Better than even creatine. I'm telling you, NMN and GO2 Max, that is the supplement to take. And so just check out Chris's physique. Even the legs, you can see the guy looks absolutely phenomenal. This is 5 weeks post-Olympia where he's hardly trained anything. But look at this guy. It looks unbelievable.
I almost just got buried in 3 plates. That was heavy. It's amazing how quick your body can lose a lot of strength and a lot of performance ability.
And so remember, you can't always be at your best. Chris was training harder than last time, not natural, training for the Mr. Olympia. And since the Olympia probably gone natural, coupled with being sick, taking time off, resting the body, it's amazing how quickly you can use your strength. But that is okay. You can't always be at your best. You can't always train harder than last time. Sometimes you have to realize that it's time for your body to rest. And Chris, he knows this. He's training for the Olympia in 9 months, and so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter! Even The Rock knows it doesn't matter how strong he is right now, and so although he's only lifting 3 plates on each side when he used to lift 5, it's okay. He's recovering, he knows what he's doing, and he's going to recover and come back better than ever. And so Eddie Hall, remember this is your competition. Does he look bulked up to you? Does he look like he's going to put on a bunch of weight? He's 251 pounds. He's going up to maybe 258. He's not going to put on a ton of body fat. You don't need to. And so if Chris can do it, single-digit body fat in the off-season, you certainly don't need to bulk up from 25% body fat to put on muscle.
Walking lunges are worse than cardio. That's a lie. They're not.
And so for Chris, walking lunges are not harder than cardio. I would do an hour of cardio every single day over doing a couple sets of walking lunges. And so Chris, pick up some GO2 Max, do your cardio. You will be amazed at just how easy it actually becomes.
If you want to call it that, decent enough. Broke a sweat, was out of breath, pushing myself harder than last time. Thanks, Greg Doucette, for the motivation.
And so he's pushing himself harder than last time. So although he's not working out super hard right now, it's better than the time before. You can't always push yourself at your best. But what you can do is train harder than the time before. You go into the gym and you try. If you didn't train harder than last time, you try next time. And so it always applies to you. Whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, just try your best. Try to train harder than last time. If you don't, it's okay. Next workout, you give it your all yet again. Train harder than last time.
Making jokes about how weak and lazy I am right now, but I honestly do think a huge reason why I'm able to progress every year is because I give my body the rest it needs so it's not chronically stressed.
And so if you're reading between the lines, what Chris means is that he doesn't abuse supplements to the extent that others do. And following the show, he stops taking them. And yeah, he loses muscle, but when he goes back on, when it comes time to prep for the show, he gains all that muscle back. And so it allows him to be healthier, to prolong his career. And so obviously Chris knows what he's doing. He's managing the stress on his body, both mentally and physically, and he's going to prepare to be at his best yet again for his 5th consecutive title. Wishing Chris all the best. Train harder than last time. Get the friggin' cookbook and the GO2 Max. Make your life easier than last time. Subscribe, click the bell button, like the video if you liked it. Come on, you know you liked it. Leave a comment, helps with the algorithm. Watch the 2 Bloops. Remember, use code Greg, 10% off. Click the link in the description. The cookbook, training book, circle, diet book, coaching plans by me and my team, phone consults. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Greg Doucette IB Pro. And until next time, I am out.